What's up, everyone? If you're a JavaScript developer, you already may have used something called an Npm package. There are millions of Npm packages that like every developer uses every single day. But do you know how to create an Npm package? Let's see that in this episode 2 of this playlist. So let's build something interesting. Have you ever faced this problem that you are using an external library, but it does not support async-await or then? It only supports callback. So let's see how we can solve this by creating two functions in our package. So let me actually describe them by this one. So these are the two functions that we're going to create. Now, why we are creating two functions? Let's actually see. In normal cases, we actually could have two different types of callbacks. One, let's say, in which we only have a result parameter, and the other in which we will have, let's actually see this here, error and result. So now what the developer has to do is simply actually pass the function, the callback function, into our functions. So let's say this way. So now depending on actually if the callback is actually having the result parameter, they will pass into this function, and if it actually accepts both, they will pass it into this function. Now what will happen actually, these functions, my functions that we will create now in the package, they will return a different function, both of them. So now I'll actually describe them by this one and by this one. Now, these functions actually do support promises, then or async await. Now, the developer simply has to use actually these functions whenever they want to call this function. Let's start with the code now. So what I've simply done right now is actually created two folders. One is the package where the code of the package will remain. And then we have the test folder where we'll be actually testing this package. So let's actually move to this package folder. The first thing that we have to do when we create a package, we have to initialize the package. So we are in the package folder. So let's simply do npm init. The first thing that we have to do is give it a name of the package. In this case, we'll be doing it is callback to async await. Version, let's make a default description. It converts the historic callback function to new to promise function. Entry point, fine. Test command, nothing. Git repository, we'll do it later. I've not created the Git repository yet for it, but it's fine. Keywords, we'll do it later. Author, let's see my email. License, fine. And then we have yes. So now, as you can see, it has created actually package.json for us with some basic informations. So let's actually move to the code. So what we are going to do, as I already said, we'll be creating two different functions. So let's actually create a constant convert callback to async, and then we have another would be callback convert this with error. So let's write the code for the first one, then we'll move to the second one. So what we simply had to do is actually return a function and in this function we have to actually create a promise in which we'll have to pass a callback which accepts resolve and reject. And in this, what we are going to do, and in this function, as I actually described previously, they will have to pass the function which we need to convert, which we actually will be calling at the end. Then what we had to do is first let's put them into the crying catch. We have any kind of an error. We'll simply throw the error, I believe. Yeah, be fine. Then in this, what we had to do is actually call this function. So the function they actually passed us accepts a callback. So we simply had to pass the callback. And in this case, we are expecting a callback which only actually have one parameter, that is results. So we'll simply have a result here. And what we are going to do is simply resolve it. So actually, when this function is completed, it will call this callback. And then we'll simply do is resolve it from here, right? And what we're going to do, actually, instead of throwing an error here, we can simply do is use reject and pass it in this one, right? So what this function is doing, it accepts their function, which actually supports callback. Now, instead of they calling the function with the callback, we are doing that instead. And we're not doing anything logic here. We're just resolving the promise here. That's it. So when they will call this function, we're simply returning a function actually which now supports the promises. Now let's handle the second case. It will almost exactly be the same. So let's copy the whole thing from here and let's do this one. What we only have to do, because the callback in this will be also accepting an error, which will be in the start. And what we had to do, we'll simply have to do is reject the error. and that's it. So we're done with the code. So what we had to simply do is export both of them. It's module dot exports, and then export both the functions. Let's paste both of them, and let's paste this one too. Now let's see how we can test an npm package in our local. So what we simply had to do, use something called npm link. So what it will simply do is it will let us download the package anywhere in our laptop. So let's see how we can do it. Let's move to this test folder where we actually are going to test it. Say cd/test. And now if we actually there say npm link and name of the package, which is actually callback this one. So now you can see we're able to download it in the package, right? So if we actually go into the code now we want to test it here. So now let's simply import it in here. So we simply have to do this. You can see there's an automation also. Now we can actually import it. It was convert.error. Let's test this function only. Now what I have to do, I'll create actually a callback function, callback, which supports callbacks. So it will accept a callback. And in there, I will use set timeout to test it. Set timeout. In this, I will call this function, callback. Now let's pass the error as null, and let's say we have in the data, that's a result that we'll be passing. I have a data and we'll list off some arrays, right? And that's it. So let's test this. Let's convert this callback function now into a promise function. We're gonna do this is like it is promise function. Let's say this. So what we have to do is use this function and pass the callback function into this function, and that's it. If we actually now use this function, so let's actually see this. But we had to first use this if function because we can't use async await on top of that. I believe we have to simply call this, and here what we can do is call this function with the await, and also have to use async here. So now we can actually say constant data. Now, as we can see here, it's actually giving me await has no effect on this type of expression. So what I've missed in here is actually I have to return this promise. So let me do that here. And if we can actually see it, we actually can see that the changes are also made in the node modules. So we don't have to link it or install it again. Now let's move to the code and run it first. Let me log it. Data. So let's now run it. Let me do it. So as you can see, after 1 second, it actually returns us the data, and we're able to log it here. Now, when we are actually done with all the testing in our local, what we can do is push this code to the npm package. So let's actually go into this package again. So now what we have to simply do is we have to use the command npm publish. Let's do that. And as you can see, it's able to publish my package. And one more thing, before publishing this thing, you have to first create the account into the npm package, and you have to first log in. So you actually do npm login. I've already done this yesterday, so I'm not going to do it again. But it will simply ask you a few steps. You have to do this, and that's done. And then at the end, you just simply have to do npm publish, and that's it. Now let's go into my profile and let's see if it is actually published or not. Now, as you can see that there is a package callback-to-async-await that I just published a minute ago. And so let's go into that. It's just a new package. There's no README. We have to add this into the same package folder, the README, all the things there. Okay. If you want to see the previous episode, in which I've created this package upload folder test3, which already has 288 downloads in 4 days ago. So you can actually watch the previous episode. I really hope you like this video, and now you understand how we can actually create, test, and publish an npm package. There is a next video coming in this week itself, so do subscribe to the channel.